Okay guys, so today I wanted to try something different. Usually this day when this is coming out, which is Friday, is when I share my grocery haul, and I share what I did for the week as far as the budget, some things, tell you a little bit about what I bought, how I compare it to my $150 budget for the week, and that's what I've been doing for the last quite a few weeks, I think, at this point. So I feel like it's getting a little repetitive, and I'm not totally sure if it's helpful to anyone anymore by me continuing that. So I think I might still do that as maybe like a monthly update, or if anyone would like to continue hearing it weekly, just please let me know. I haven't gotten any feedback on it yet, so I'm not sure if it's helpful to keep hearing each week kind of what I bought and how it came into budget. So I'm debating on whether I might just do like a monthly episode just to give like an update how we did for the month. So let me know if you have feedback on that. But anyway, so what I wanted to do today instead is I thought maybe it would be a good idea to share some easy Crockpot meals that are pretty budget friendly too. So I have 5 meals that I'm going to share with you. And I will give you the estimated costs of each one. What I did to estimate the cost was I just looked on the Peapod app because I figured that would be kind of middle of the road. Your cost will obviously be more or less depending on the type of discount store you're shopping at, or if you're buying more name brand type products, or little more high quality products, things like that. So obviously this is just a very rough estimate, but I am providing an estimate for each recipe. So the first one I have is sausage or sausage and meatballs in the crock pot. So this is so super easy. What I do is I take 2 jars of sauce, I just buy like the most inexpensive sauce I can buy because it gets flavored while it's cooking in the crock pot. Like, it absorbs the flavor from the sausage, and there's going to be green pepper in this too. But I just buy 2 jars of sauce. So I estimated about $1.50 each for those. I definitely would get those cheaper, but like I said, I'm kind of trying to go middle of the road here. I estimated $7 for 2 packages of sausage, just like Italian sausage. If you would rather, you could do 1 package of sausage and replace it with some meatballs instead. I think the price would be relatively the same. And then 1 green bell pepper cut up, which I estimated for 1 pepper about $1. So the total estimated cost for this recipe, I'm going to say, is roughly $11 to $15 for the meal. So you basically, all you do is you just pour the jars of sauce in your crock pot. You put the sausage and or meatballs in there, and the sausage I usually cut up in like 4 little pieces, like per length. I just cut the lengths into 4 sections, put them in there, chop up a green pepper, put that in there, and that's it. Put the lid on, cook it for 6 to 8 hours on low, and then we'll either make sandwiches with like Italian bread with that, or we'll make a pasta meal and have that kind of like as the sauce for the pasta. And just from the peppers and the sausage cooking in there, it makes the sauce taste so good. So you really don't have to buy an expensive sauce to do this. It really like makes the flavor really good on even like a really inexpensive sauce. So that's something that is super, super easy and relatively inexpensive to make. It's great to just make on a day when you're just really going to be in a rush at dinner time. You could just throw it in the crock pot in like probably 2 minutes. I don't even know. I've never timed it, but pretty quickly. So that's the first one. The next one I have is corn chowder. So I estimated about $11 for this meal, and it would be less if you use water instead of broth, or maybe a little bit more if you decide to add bacon to it. But the very basic recipe that I've done when I've just wanted to do like a quick, inexpensive meal is 6 cups of chicken broth or water in the crock pot, 1 or 2 large russet potatoes. Oh, I forgot to tell you, for the 6 cups of chicken broth, I estimated about $4. 1 or 2 large russet potatoes, I estimated about $2 for the 2 potatoes, because obviously you buy, I usually buy them in like a 5-pound or 8-pound bag, so I was kind of just roughly estimating for 2 potatoes. 2 cans of whole kernel corn, which I estimated 75 cents each for $1.50 for the 2 cans, and 1 cup of heavy cream, which I estimated at about $3. So basically all that you do is you put 6 cups of chicken broth, or you could just use water. I just used water. Actually, last time I made this and it came out really good. So it's just the chicken broth or water. The potatoes you're gonna kind of dice up in, like, I guess about, I don't know, maybe like 1/4 inch little chunks, you know, kind of like how you would dice them up for like potato salad or something like that, maybe a little bit smaller. And then you put the 2 cans of corn in there, and you just let that cook all day, and the potatoes will get really soft, and you know, it'll just kind of like cook into like a, you know, it'll cook all day. And then what you do, so you're going to cook that on low for like 6 to 8 hours. And then when it's done, when the time is done, if you want, you can puree it. I did that. I took like an immersion blender and just kind of pureed it, not fully, but just enough so it was more like a creamy kind of potato consistency with some chunks in it still, and some of the corn got pureed too. And then that's when you add the cup of the heavy cream after you've pureed it. So the heavy cream does not cook in the crock pot all day. The heavy cream just gets added at the end, and it's 1 cup of heavy cream. You add it, you mix it in, let it warm up, and then you just serve it just like that. You can add bacon if you want. Obviously, like I said, that would increase the cost, but you can lessen the cost if you choose to use water. So it's just a very quick, simple corn chowder, and my family really liked it. You could do grilled cheese on the side. You could just do like a nice loaf of bread or whatever, you know, you might like to have served with that. So the next one I have is taco soup. So I estimated for taco soup about $12 to $15. And this recipe, basically everything that I'm going to tell you here, you just dump it all in the crock pot in the morning, and you're going to cook it for 6 to 8 hours on low. So you're going to do 1 can of red kidney beans, 1 can of black beans, 1 can of whole kernel corn, 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce, 1 bottle of beer. I estimated $2 for the bottle of beer. By the way, I estimated $1 each for the red beans, for the kidney beans and the black beans, 75 cents for the corn, and 50 cents for the 8-ounce tomato sauce. So the bottle of beer, I wasn't really sure what a bottle of beer costs, honestly. I estimated $2. I have only put the bottle of beer in this recipe when we happen to have a bottle of beer in the house. Otherwise, you could definitely just use water, just kind of look at and estimate like about how much water you would, it's a soup, so you know, you kind of want like a soupy consistency. So you could just add water about roughly equivalent to what a bottle of beer would be. 2 cans of diced tomatoes, like the regular, I think they're like 14.5 ounce or whatever. I estimated $2 for both of those cans, $1 each. 1 package of taco seasoning, $1. And then 1 whole chicken breast, which I estimated $3. Now, I more recently started not cooking the chicken breast in the soup, but it comes out fine either way. I found that the chicken was a little more tender if I just boiled it and shredded it kind of at the end when the soup was almost done, and then whoever wanted it just kind of added it to their soup, and because my one daughter doesn't eat meat anyway, so it kind of worked out better that way for us. But either way, you could put it in there to have it cook all day, or you could cook it separately and add it. Oh, and just a tip, if you haven't done this before, probably everybody knew this already except for me, but if you boil chicken, like if you want shredded chicken to add to whatever recipe or meal or whatever, if you boil the chicken or cook it however you're cooking it, and then you take like a hand mixer and kind of put the chicken in like a bowl and use the hand mixer to shred the chicken, it's like the best thing on earth. And you guys are probably like, oh my gosh, you just learned that now, but I just saw it on one of the YouTube channels that I watch, and I tried it 2 times now, and I'm like, why, how did I never know about this? So if you didn't know, if you were like me, anyway, that's a tip for shredding the chicken. Anyway, so you just put all those ingredients in the crock pot, you let it cook all day. And then we usually have it with topped with like tortilla chips, cheddar cheese, and sour cream, and it makes a really good soup. So I kind of said $12 to $15 in total for this meal, extra for toppings, you know, if depending on the chips you buy, the sour cream, the cheese, all that kind of stuff. And then of course, like I said, a little bit less if you do water instead of the beer. So that's that recipe. My next one is French dip. Now this one is a lot more expensive, but I really thought it was worth including it because even though it's expensive to make it, we usually, when I make this recipe, I get like at least 2 meals out of it because it makes so much. So I thought it was worth sharing. And plus it's so easy and so delicious. I just thought it was worth including in this episode. So I estimated $30 for this meal. But don't forget, you're really truly probably going to get at least 2 meals out of this, at least. And when I say 2 meals, it's for my family of 5, who is 3 teenagers and 2 adults. So we all eat like full meals. So I estimated $20 for 1 3-pound chuck roast. Then you're going to need, that's the most expensive thing. I mean, basically the cost of this meal is mostly just the chuck roast. So it's going to be $20, excuse me, sorry, $20 for the chuck roast, 1 onion soup mix package, which I estimated about $1 if you're buying like the store brand, 1 packet of au jus gravy mix, which I estimated $2, 1 can of beef broth. All you do is put the chuck roast in the crock pot, you sprinkle the onion soup mix over top, you sprinkle the au jus gravy mix over top, you pour a can of beef broth over it, you let it cook all day. It comes out so delicious if you like French dip. It just shreds apart. It's just really, really good. And what we do is I'll get some kind of rolls and we'll serve the sandwiches on rolls with like Swiss cheese or whatever kind of cheese you might like to put on that. So I estimated about $5 for like the rolls and the cheese. You know, it could be more or less depending on what you're buying. So I'm estimating about $30 for that meal. But if you get 2 meals out of it, that's only $15 a meal. So I still think it's a pretty budget friendly meal, and it's really good, and it's super, super easy to make. So that's that one. The next one that I wanted to share is slow cooker Salisbury steak. Now I'm sorry, I have a bad cough. I have a little cough that I'm all of a sudden getting today. So this recipe is a little bit more difficult to share on this episode because there's a couple small steps to it and I don't want to mix it up incorrectly, but it's ultimately a crock pot meal. I will post this one on the Facebook page in case you're interested in getting the recipe. Or I can actually tell you, because let me see, I can tell you where I actually got the recipe from in case you don't want to have to go to the Facebook page. This is actually on allrecipes.com. And it's just called slow cooker Salisbury steak, and they have slow cooker spelled as 2 separate words. But I will post it on the Facebook page either way. This is just one of those recipes that's kind of done in 2 steps, where you're going to make the Salisbury steaks like a patty, and you're going to dredge them in flour, brown them really quick, just the outsides, and then you cook it in the crock pot with like the sauce over it. So it's a little too complicated to go through the whole recipe on this podcast, but I wanted to share it as far as it being a budget friendly, very easy slow cooker meal, and it's really good. I actually bring this to like holidays and stuff, and it's really good for like a holiday recipe because you can kind of get it going early in the morning. This one isn't like a full day crock pot meal. It's more like a 4 to 6 hour. So if we're going to like a holiday party, say at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, I know it's summer, I'm talking about holiday parties, but whatever, I've made this for that. And I'll kind of put it in the crock pot in the morning when we're kind of all getting ready for the day. And then by the time you're ready to go, it's done, and you just put it in whatever dish you're going to carry it in, or bring your crock pot or whatever to the party. And everybody really seems to like it. But it is a good meal for at home too. So basically what's included in this recipe is 2 pounds of ground beef, which I estimated about $8, 1 onion soup mix package, half a cup of breadcrumbs, 1/4 cup of milk, 1/4 cup of flour, 2 cans of cream of chicken, and 1 au jus mix. So I estimated $2 for the au jus mix. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I think you know what I mean. $2 for the 2 cans of cream of chicken soup, $1 for onion soup mix package, and I forget if I said this already, but I estimated $8 for the 2 pounds of ground beef. So I'm estimating roughly $13 to $15 for this meal in total. We usually would just have it with like baked potatoes on the side, and you could do like a vegetable or whatever, but It's really good. I really like it. If you like Salisbury steak, the homemade ones are really good. So I will share that on the Facebook page shortly after this episode comes out. So that's my 5 budget-friendly crockpot meals for today. I definitely want to try and do different scenarios of this with probably in multiples of 5, maybe Instant Pot recipes, air fryer recipes, whatever. It doesn't have to be a full theme like that, but I'm going to try and come up with more. Now, these are all recipes that I have made, so I didn't just find recipes and let you try and figure out if they're good or not. Like, these are ones that my family likes, so these are recipes we do actually make. So that's it for today. I hope this is maybe helpful to you. If you'd like to message me to give me feedback or suggestions for any episodes or anything like that, or any questions you might have, you can reach me through the Facebook page, and it's at facebook.com/Lola's Frugal Life. You can like the page to follow. I post all the recipes from my different meal planning episodes on there. You can send me a message. There's also a link there to join our private listeners group, which we're just building up. So it's a small group right now, but I'm super excited about the couple of people that have joined so far. So if you're interested, I would love for you to join. There's a link to the in the Facebook group, but then you can also go, if you want to go directly, you can go to facebook.com/groups/Lola's Frugal Life, and you could submit a request to join. So I'd love to hear from you. And that's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the podcast if you have an opportunity. I thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a really awesome day.